Dating, dating, dating. It is no secret that a lot of single men come to Thailand, hoping for some opportunity, hoping to meet the right person, hopefully, start a family, live out that whole fantasy that I know a lot of us men have. But in reality, sometimes that doesn't happen. There are for sure some intricacies when it comes to dating in Thailand. So in this video, we're gonna hone in on one of them, dating apps. In Thailand, are they worth it? Should you just avoid them? And if you do decide to use them, what should you expect? What should you keep an eye out for? And what should you avoid? Not to worry, I got you taken care of. How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day. If not, you know what we always say, just go to sleep, shoot the dice again tomorrow. Hopefully it ends up better, but let's be real, probably not. Now, I get a lot of questions being a content creator and, living in Thailand. A lot of people want to know what's going on. The most frequent, by far, has to do with dating. Everybody wants to know what the deal is, if some of the narratives out there are true, are other ones not true? Is it worth it? Should I pursue it? Should I come to Thailand? And when I do, is that something I should be worried about? Short answer, yes. But especially when, you compare it to America, there are quite a few things that are different, and that includes dating apps. So I'm gonna give you guys the lowdown today. By the end of this video, you're gonna know if dating apps are something for you or if you should just avoid it. Before we get into some of the major differences and things to watch out for, I reached out to you via Instagram. If you haven't followed me yet, make sure you go ahead and do that. We're always doing Q&As, all kinds of fun stuff. If you want a chance for your question to be featured in the video, I asked you guys, did you have any questions about dating apps in Thailand? So let's run through those. We'll get those out of the way and then we'll hop into some stuff that you should probably keep an eye out for. All right? Right. Question number 1. Are dating apps in Thailand actually used for real relationships, or are people just looking to hook up? This one, so from my experience, it's a bit of both. One major difference between dating apps in America and in Thailand is in America, there's not, well, nowadays there's more, but it's still not even comparable when it comes to Thailand. There's people who are looking for hookups. There's people who are looking for relationships, and there's people who are looking to work, if you know what I mean. We'll get into that a little bit more later. Honestly, from what I've seen, granted, all the apps are very different, so we'll get into that as well, but it does depend on what app you're on and the likelihood of what people are actually looking for, right? In all reality, from my experience, although I've encountered some of it, for the most part, I don't think there's a whole lot of women on dating apps in Thailand, or most of the world for that matter, that are just looking to hook up. Maybe if you're some super rich, famous dude, that might change it up. But for a normal guy like you and me, if that's something that you're interested in, I think there's other routes you could go that are probably going to be much more successful. But if you are looking for a real relationship, if you're looking to actually meet somebody who's looking for the same, you could pretty much do that on any dating app, some easier than others. And we'll kind of break that down here in a little bit. Question number 2, which app works best in Thailand? Tinder, Bumble, or is there something else that is Thailand specific? So this kind of calls back to our first question. It depends on what exactly you're looking for. So Tinder, I think, is kind of a mix of everything. There's people on there who are looking for, real relationships. There's people who are looking to just hang out and have fun. There's people on there who are looking to, make some money, if you know what I'm saying. From my very limited experience on Bumble, I think that is generally much more girls that are looking for real relationships. It's kind of hard to tell, really. I don't get nearly as much interaction on Bumble.
Oh, there it is.
Unfortunately. And then there are a couple more that are kind of Thailand specific. Thai Friendly is a very popular one. That is one that is kind of known or reserved for people that are looking for customers. We're just going to keep it 100. If that is something that you're interested in, live your life. We don't judge here. That's probably going to be the place you want to be. Another thing you will notice between the different apps, the demographics kind of change. From, what I understand, Thai Friendly is a bit of an older crowd. If maybe you're retired, something like that. And then, Tinder, Bumble, all those other ones tend to be people who are a bit younger, even though there is a mix. Now, question number 3, this is an important one, something that is very, you really have to know about this if you are coming to Thailand, and dating apps is something you're gonna do. Are most profiles real, or is there a high number of fake / scam accounts, right? So just like everywhere else in the world, online scams are kind of going through the roof. From what I have seen, most of the dating apps seem to be pretty, on top of obvious scam profiles. Now, that's not to say that you're not gonna meet somebody on there that's a scammer, but especially when it comes to like, they have, facial verification and stuff like that now. So if you are really worried about it, that's something you can do, is just make sure you're sticking to verified profiles only. Now, this isn't to say that even if somebody's profile is real, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to scam you, right? Thing about Thailand is there is a big group of guys who are retired. There's a lot of older guys coming here. Can stand to reason that those guys probably have some money. They're looking for a partner kind of now. Time is of the essence, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, there are some dirtbags out there that try to capitalize on that and take advantage of these people that are lonely. It goes both ways. Now, this isn't to say either that, Thai people are on dating apps scamming people. From what I've seen and some of the stories we've covered on our other series on the channel, a lot of the time these scammers don't even live in Thailand. They're from some random country and they just set their location to Thailand because they know there is a decent amount of guys coming to Thailand that are looking to meet people.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Next question, do Thai women actually use apps, or are they just kind of on there casually looking around? So I think it really depends. I've met plenty of Thai girls that don't use dating apps. I think it's just like, anywhere else in the world, there's a mix. There's a certain group of people that are using them, and then there's a whole other group of people that are not, right? A lot of the time, Thai girls tend to be pretty shy. So I think there's a whole group of them that aren't really putting themselves out there like that on the internet. So yes and no. I think there are some that are on there kind of just, throwing some lines out there and seeing what happens. But also there is a large group that are on there that are genuinely looking to meet somebody nice and build a relationship. So yes and no. Now this next question, this is another major difference, of course. Is there a big language barrier when chatting on these apps? Absolutely, a lot of the time. So the thing about it is you'll meet a lot of people in Thailand that can speak basic English, especially when you're going to restaurants and stuff like that. You're out and about. They know the English names for food and stuff like that. But when it comes to full-blown conversations, especially if you're talking about trying to build a connection with somebody, it's already hard enough doing that through a phone and not in person. And then you add a language barrier on top of that, it can make things understandably very difficult, right? Which is why I'm a big proponent. If you are looking for a genuine relationship, I think it's much more functional and honestly much easier if you're going out in person and trying to meet people. Now, you can kind of use the dating apps as an in and then, set up a time and a date. But let's be real, those first 2 or 3 back and forths when you are on a dating app are essential. I'm the guy that, I kind of tend to lean on being funny. I feel like that's usually my in. I'm not some, 6'6", 220-pound stud. So I try to make some jokes. And one thing I've noticed after leaving America is there's a lot of our jokes and our humor that make absolutely no sense, even if you do speak decent English, right? So I've had so many swings and misses trying to open up and be funny. So that is something to really think about as well. You're kind of just narrowing down that demographic because let's be real, a lot of people in Thailand aren't completely fluent in English.
An annual meeting of
Moving on to our next question. Are most girls on Thai dating apps looking for foreigners specifically? So this is kind of hard to tell, right? Because rarely are you going to come across profiles that say like foreigners only. It does happen, but it is pretty rare. I wouldn't doubt that there are some girls who are looking specifically for that, especially if they're looking for customers, of course, right? From the girls that I've met in my time in Thailand, there are groups of girls that prefer to date foreigners. There's groups of girls that prefer to date Thais. So only thing I would think that might push it towards the majority looking for foreigners is, if they're looking to meet Thai guys, They can do it when they're out and about everywhere, right? So I can't really say to this one, but one thing I could say is don't just assume that because you meet a girl on a dating app that she is only interested or that she's interested in all in dating foreigners. How common is it to be asked for money or run into scams? So with me personally, honestly, when it comes to dating apps, I'm not sure if I've ever been asked for money. The place where I have had random girls just shoot me a message out of nowhere and ask me to buy them food or send them money is on Facebook. So especially now that my Facebook has a pretty decent audience, I've ended up adding friends from all over Southeast Asia, and I have gotten quite a few of those messages on there. But you know, the thing about it is like a lot of the time it can be easy to think that scammers are stupid, right? But if they've been doing this and that's what they do, they kind of learn how to do it. So I would imagine if you are coming across a profile that is their goal, I don't think they're gonna come right out and say it from the rip. I hope I don't have to tell you, if you do meet somebody online, don't send them money randomly. Don't do that. I see posts every day of guys saying, oh, I had so-and-so girlfriend, we were dating long distance and I sent her all this money and then I flew to see her and she never showed up. Guys, not to say that that can't work for some people, but the likelihood of you having full scope of what's happening in that relationship is really low. I know sometimes it can be easy to get the love goggles on and we've all done stupid stuff, but guys, don't send a random girl money across the internet.
Because I have $30,000 in credit card debt.
Now our last and probably golden question, right? This is the main one, I think. Is it easier or harder to get dates in Thailand compared to back home in reference to dating apps? Man, honestly, it's really hard to say. I would say that generally it's a bit easier in Thailand. Now, that's not to say that, you know, you're going to be swimming in a sea of fishes and you're going to have all the options in the world. But for the most part, I think it is a bit easier in Thailand. I think too is, you know, a lot of Thai girls are pretty much fine with just doing something very simple for like a first date or a first meetup, coffee or whatever. I say that I think it's just a little bit more common. Easier, yeah, I think it's a bit easier, honestly, but it's not so substantial that it's night and day difference. It's still, of course, really important to make a good first impression, have some good photos on there, don't come in hot and heavy, being a weirdo. And honestly, you're gonna have way more swings and misses than you have success, right? You know, if I had to put a number on it, I would say probably for every 30 to 50 people you match with and start talking to, you might get 2 or 3 dates out of that. It really depends on what you're asking to do though, right? Like if you're asking every single girl if she wants to go to the fanciest restaurant in the city and you'll take her shopping afterwards, then yeah, you're gonna get a lot more dates. But as far as just like normal, you know, day-to-day normal dates for us simpletons, I think it's a little bit easier, but it's not crazy, right? Let's be realistic. So now that we've answered some questions, let's dive into a bit more. What are the major differences between dating apps in America, or most of the West, I would assume, compared to Thailand? A big one, we touched on it a little bit earlier, is the demographics of what people are looking for, right? Most people in America, they're either looking for dates, relationship, or they're just looking to hang out, have fun. Now that's true in Thailand as well, but on top of that, you also have a whole group of girls that are working, right? That's just the reality of it. If you're not interested in that, you're gonna run into that frequently. You're gonna match with girls, they're gonna send you a message, hopefully right away that's what they're doing. So if you're not interested, you don't waste each other's time. But honestly, I've been through quite a few where I thought this girl was interested, text for a day or two, try to set up a date, and then she tells me, it's like, ugh, okay, I get it. Make your money, do your thing, but I kind of wish I would have known that at the same time. But honestly, there are a lot of girls that will put that in their bio. So it's not like some people have said where, you know, every single girl on there is just working. They have no interest in relationships or dating or whatever. Like we mentioned, some apps are more notorious for that than others. Thai Friendly being a huge one. From what I've seen, the majority of girls on there are working, looking for customers. But when you get into Tinder, there's some on Tinder. I would assume there's some on Bumble as well. And there's a few other ones here that I've never used. I think, what's it called? Badoo, I think. something like that. At this point, there's a ton of them. I can never keep up with whatever the new trendy one is. That is a major difference between America and here. Granted, I haven't been in America for a while, so that landscape could have changed as well. Who knows? But from what I've seen, that is something to understand. You're for sure going to get matches where girl doesn't really have any interest in you. Just a big thing that I do, I'm a firm proponent of honesty. Just say what you're, why you're there, what you're doing, what you're not interested in, and that'll save both of you some time. You might get more attention on dating apps than locals do for a very specific reason though. So, there is a narrative out there that says like, oh, if you're a white guy who goes to Thailand, you're going to have all the options and you're going to have to be beating girls off of you with a stick. That's not true. And another thing to really understand about this, I've seen it happen to countless guys coming here. It can be really easy to kind of let that go to your head. And all of a sudden you feel like you're this super high prize that like every girl wants and they all want to be with you because you're so handsome. If you meet a girl that wants to date you solely because you are a foreigner, that's probably not going to work out well for you. I mean, if you're looking for a real genuine kind of give and take relationship, right? Now, don't get me wrong. If you understand that and you go into it and you're cool with that, live your life, man. I hope it works out for you and everybody's happy. But the reality is I tend to kind of avoid those situations, right? I think a lot of the time, if that is happening, it's not for very positive reasons. So that is something to kind of understand. I've seen so many guys come here and just get picked up by the tornado of, dating life, and they think all these girls are interested in them because they're so dashing or handsome. And that's not to say it's not true, but if you have people that are essentially approaching you solely for the fact of where you come from, I would probably try to avoid those. Now, something that honestly took me quite a while to get used to is just the difference in like communication styles, right? Of course, our culture is different in America. It's very different from Thailand. And like we mentioned earlier, a lot of girls you'll run into are super shy, right? They're not quite as so open or forthcoming right off the rip unless, they're in that group that's working, then they'll usually kind of let you know what the deal is. But the way, I used to come in when I was on dating apps in America, I would come in shots firing, right? Let's see, is this going anywhere or is it not? I'm going to be super direct. If that doesn't work, then okay, we'll move on. The thing about Thailand is, especially if you're looking for a genuine relationship, if you do maybe want to date somebody that is a little bit more chill, kind of low key, has some traditional values, especially, a lot of those girls are going to be super shy. And very rarely, if you are talking to those types of women, you're not going to, talk to them for a couple hours and then go meet them somewhere, right? It's not going to turn into a date super fast. You're going to have to talk, get to know each other a little bit. And a lot of the times it can kind of come off as they're not interested just because of the way the banter goes back and forth. But a lot of the time that might not necessarily be true. She might just be a little bit shy. So that is something to understand, especially if you're looking for relationships. A lot of the time it's the better move to kind of just go slow, ease in there. But it's a very fine line because you don't want to be boring. You don't want to just be the guy who gets a match and you're just like, hey, how was your day? What are you doing? What are you eating? You know what I mean? You still have to stand out a bit. That's a thing that I feel like a lot of people don't bother to mention when they talk about, dating in Thailand, especially as a foreigner. A lot of people kind of frame it as, oh, well, you're a foreigner, you're good. You don't have to do anything. Girls will just love you. That is absolutely not true. At least in my opinion, if you want to date girls that are worth dating, you still have to provide something, whether it be, humor, money, whatever it is. You got to, bring something to the table, and you still got to court girls. You can't just walk in and, act like a pit bull barking at the end of his chain. That's probably not going to work out for you. Now, maybe the biggest difference, also another question that I get constantly. There's like this whole subset of people that have obviously never been to Thailand that have this very strange obsession with the katoys or ladyboys, right? No matter what type of Thailand content you post, they're in the comments talking about ladyboys. So something to understand, if you are on dating apps, you are going to come across profiles that can be deceiving, to say the least. A lot of the time, at least with me, especially after being here for a bit, out in person, it's generally pretty easy to tell, right? Most of the time, men are built very different from women. But honestly, when it comes to social media, dating apps, it's filters, camera angles. It can be really hard. You know, the thing about that though is, especially for people that have never been to Thailand, there seems to be like this super strange narrative that, you know, ladyboys in Thailand are trying to like trick you. If you're a straight guy, like it's some type of game for ladyboys to be, okay, we're gonna go out, we're gonna trick these straight guys into thinking that we're women and we're gonna take them somewhere, we're gonna trap them. That's not how it goes. If you match with somebody, if you're not interested in them, they're gonna tell you 99% of the time, or they'll have it in their profile off rip. They'll ask you if you're okay with that. If you're not, then you go your separate ways. It's not a huge deal. I don't really understand what that weird obsession is, but if you're on a dating app looking to meet women, you are gonna run into that, but it's not something that you need to be like scared or like intimidated by or worried about. It's not like this strange like niche subculture here. It's just normal day-to-day life. They're happy with who they are. They're not ashamed of it, so they have no reason to hide it. So in conclusion, are dating apps worth it if you are coming to Thailand and you are interested in meeting some nice ladies or men, whatever you're looking for? Yes and no. So I think it really has everything to do with what type of relationship you are looking for. So we'll just kind of jump through them. If you're looking for, you know, a normal relationship, if you're looking to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you know, hopefully build into a family or something later, if that's something you want to do, I don't think dating apps are completely useless. But especially as a foreigner, I think you're gonna have much more success going out and meeting people in person. I just feel like it's really hard to connect with somebody, you know, especially in those first few interactions, which are so important to kind of build interest. I think you're gonna see a lot more success if you're going out and you're meeting girls in person. Now, if you are looking for the just have fun status, if you just wanna, you know, make some surface level friends, if you wanna meet some people to go party with, absolutely. Dating apps are a great way to do that. And in the last regard, if you are looking for, let's say, a transactional relationship, like we said, we don't judge on this channel. Live your life. You know, as long as everybody is happy and willing to be doing what they're doing, totally fine with that. I think dating apps would probably be a pretty good way to get that taken care of. The only thing I would be worried about going that route is, just like it's hard to build a connection with somebody you might be interested in dating, I think it can be kind of hard to vet people. Now, you know, Thailand in general is very safe. You know, very rarely are you going to have to worry about somebody trying to like take advantage of you, hurt you, steal your stuff, whatever. But I would be less inclined to kind of just meet somebody online and then all of a sudden you're inviting them to your house or you're going over there. That is one thing I would definitely consider. I would say, you know, going out and about is the better way to almost do all of these things, but that doesn't mean that dating apps don't have their time and their place, right? It should be a tool in your toolbox, but it shouldn't be the only one. If you did make it this far in the video, thank you so much for hanging out. If you're coming to Thailand soon, you're interested in getting out and about there, hopefully meeting a nice lady or a nice guy, hopefully this helped you out a little bit. Now you have a little perspective, some things you should watch out for, some things you can avoid, just everything to keep everybody safe and happy. I could do a whole video on the intricacies and the major differences between dating as a whole in Thailand compared to America, especially. If you would like to see that, let me know down in the comments. But you know the deal at this point, I am starving. It is time to go get some food. Good luck out there. Happy hunting on your dating journey. Be a gentleman, be nice. Don't be a weirdo. Don't be one of those guys that ends up on a news article for being a creep, because we will find it and we will make an entire video on it. Thank you guys so much for being here. See you in the next one.